Balboa Park, with its beautiful buildings, landscapes, and world-class museums, it's the perfect setting for model trains, the San Diego Model Railroad Museum, a 27,000 square foot indoor model railroad display, is one of the largest in the world. Here, the heritage of California railroading is preserved in a series of miniature representations brought to life by the imagination and skill of dedicated hobbyists. Combining mechanics and electronics with design, drafting, building, and art, the Model Railroad Museum showcases hand-built craftsmanship and high-tech components as it celebrates history and popular culture side by side.
In a way, the name museum is a misnomer. One might think that a model railroad museum would be a place where artifacts of ancient model railroading were collected. But in fact, what it is an operating exhibit that's a model exhibit of a railroad as a museum of that railroad. And the fact that it operates also makes it a great attractor for kids and people who want to see something more than something in a glass case.
So you can interact with the engineers. In the three rail, we have anybody will hand you a throttle and say, go to it.
We really have an obligation to show what can be done with this hobby because we have been given such a good opportunity. We have 27,000 square feet in the cultural center of the city.
Model railroading traces its roots back to the toy trains of the 19th century.
It's actually a floor toy, or a floor train. And it's cast iron, it's an Ives, made in about 1880. It introduced children to trains, and the fact that when they see a real train, they had their own miniature at home.
Toy trains became electrified in the early 1900s. Companies like Lionel, Ives, and American Flyer helped popularize them by copying real-life railroads. By the 1930s, modelers were making toy trains look more like the real thing. These were called scale models, since they attempted to precisely replicate real trains in a smaller scale.
Well, I think the grown-ups got to looking in the mid-30s at these toy trains and became intrigued with it and said, well, we could do a little bit more improvement on this and have actually a scale model of a train.
Minton Cronkite, a pioneer model railroader from Connecticut, developed a business making scale model locomotives and cars. He showed off his skill in an exhibition of scale model trains at the 1935 California Pacific International Exposition in San Diego's Balboa Park. Minton hand-built the giant 40 by 70 foot diorama and the Santa Fe engine that ran on it.
Milton Cronkite was really considered one of the pioneers in model railroading. He built all this equipment by hand and probably surprised a lot of us that the equipment even still runs today.
His streamlined Santa Fe Super Chief, donated to the museum by Minton's grandson, is fully restored and is on display at the San Diego Model Railroad Club's Cabrillo Yard. Minton's dedication to prototype modeling helped change the hobby forever. No longer just a toy for children, it would grow into a serious hobby for adults. Following on the heels of Minton's success, model railroad clubs sprang up in San Diego. In 1939, the Balboa Model Railroad Club was established, modeling O-scale trains at various locations around the city. In the same year, the San Diego Model Railroad Club was established for a new, smaller scale of trains, HO. Setting up shop in a walk-in chicken coop in East El Cajon, the layout featured excellent modeling and realistic scenery. In 1949, the two groups joined forces, sharing space in Balboa Park's House of Charm under the banner of the San Diego Model Railroad Association. For 30 years, they exhibited for the enjoyment of the community on Sunday afternoons.
Mainly the members in the club and everything at that time were just self-indulging. But the benefits were enormous because the public was getting exposed to it whether they wanted to or not. The emphasis was put into modeling trains, and so everybody was trying to get them as accurate as they can in a scale.
By the 1950s, HO scale began to surpass O scale in popularity. Its affordability, smaller size, and realism made it attractive to a new generation of modelers, including a group of teenagers from La Mesa, a suburb of San Diego.
We were trying to create a model railroad that was bigger than anything any of us could do by ourselves in the space we had available.
With support from parents and the city of La Mesa, they incorporated into a club in 1962 and built an HO scale layout in an old firehouse called Nebo Hall.
One of the things that characterized the guys that were in the first part of the club was that there were a lot of us who were actually rail fans as well as modelers.
Going back to the beginning, it was all fun and games until college age or high school graduation. We had lots of jobs on the railroad, and our attitude changed from having fun only to be a more prototypical operation.
We weren't just run down to the hobby shop and build it guys. We were go out and watch the railroad run, learn how it runs, look at the details on all the equipment and try to model that.
The La Mesa Model Railroad Club gained a national reputation for its strong fidelity to the prototype, with highly realistic backdrops, miniature buildings, and features of Southern California railroads. Another San Diego modeling group made its debut, the San Diego Society of N-Scale. At about half the size of HO, N-Scale offered maximum action in even less space. Model railroading was growing and changing, and soon San Diego's model railroad clubs would be too, as destiny united them in an unexpected way. By the 1970s, beautiful Balboa Park, one of San Diego's crown jewels, was beginning to show its age. Plans were underway to revitalize the area when arson fires destroyed two of the park's great old wooden buildings.
The three-alarm fire in Balboa Park last night destroyed the electrical building.
The first alarm went out at 8:14 last night.
The fire marshal's response was quick. Old wood buildings, like the House of Charm, were condemned. The San Diego Club suddenly found itself without a home. That same year, the La Mesa Model Railroad Club lost its lease at Nebo Hall and was shopping for new space.
I and a couple of other members of the club started looking around to see what we could find for space, connected with some people in the city park department, and they pointed out that the San Diego Model Railroad Club, where we'd all met originally, was also out of their space.
The two of the organizations got together and petitioned the city for space in this building as it was being rebuilt, and they became then the San Diego Model Railroad Museum.
The San Diego Model Railroad Museum was officially incorporated in August of 1980. Construction began almost immediately. It would be unlike other museums in the park. The exhibits would be built and operated by volunteers who often funded construction from their own pockets. With space for clubs and community events, it would be a resource for education and a place for the youngest museum goers to learn about railroad history. The clubs began planning new layouts. Soon, 2 clubs became 4. The San Diego Society of N-Scale had a modular layout set up by 1981, and the toy trains had an oval.
The early days, we were only open on weekends. There was no fee charged. We were just starting to build all the exhibits. It was just a wide open, huge basement. It was just a wonderful opportunity for a bunch of model railroaders to show what could be done with the hobby.
The dreams were big, the progress slow but steady. In the early days, the museum relied on the support of club members to pay for improvements.
The only source we had was donations from the public. At that time, we're talking about $15, $20 during a whole day, so it was very slow going. And then the clubs wanted to just build model railroads, not raise money to complete the museum.
With the support of members and grants and private donations, the space slowly began to take shape. The San Diego Model Railroad Museum was on track to become one of the great model railroad exhibits. A quick look around the museum tells you that not all model trains or their layouts are alike. Model railroads come in a variety of scales and gauges. Scale is the size of the train, while gauge is the width of the track. The museum models 5 different scales of trains: O, O27, HO, HON3, and N. Trains ride on either standard or narrow gauge track. Modeling railroads is precision work. Thousands of hours are spent designing and engineering every aspect of the layout. Track is often custom built, and engines and rolling stock modified to handle the many scale miles put on them with each trip around the layout. Scenery adds another layer of interest and context to each layout. Modelers use a variety of materials to shape landscapes and construct features. Plastic buildings and figures are often used to achieve a high degree of precision and realism. But skilled modelers also use scratch building techniques to recreate real-life scenes, like the Goat Canyon Trestle in Carrizo Gorge. This model on the San Diego Model Railroad Club's HO track was built by World War II-era modelers using old wooden Venetian blinds cut into scale lumber. Landscape and buildings in proper scale allows modelers to create scenes that are historic or that represent actual locations. Add in lighting, sound, and scenic backdrops, and you have a prototypical model, something that is as close to real as a model can get. Some of the layouts model and operate prototypically, while others exercise more creative license. But each of the museum's 4 clubs model an aspect of the hobby distinctive to their scale, with surprises and delights for the serious model railroader and the casual fan. The San Diego Model Railroad Club's O-scale Cabrillo and Southwestern layout models American railroads during what is known as the Transition Era, the period between 1940 and 1959, when the industry was switching over from steam-driven locomotives to diesel engines. Covering 2,500 square feet and with more than 10.5 scale miles of track, this is one of the most active and diverse layouts in the museum.
We actually have 5 different loops, or I call it 5 different layouts. One is a passenger link, goes from one end of the layout to the other. In the same parallel is a freight loop, which goes from one end to the other. In the middle island of the layout is a high line, so that makes the 3rd. And then on the back side, we have a loop which is really geared for narrow gauge. And then the 5th one is the trolley, which has a lot of attraction by the public because it does operate with the pole as getting its primary positive voltage.
The entire layout is an imaginary world. Cabrillo Yard doesn't really exist, but the passenger station in its Mission Revival style is typical of Southwestern railroad architecture. Engines are readied for service at a diesel fueling station. A coaling tower and roundhouse in the background are part of the locomotive maintenance facility. An impressive trestle bridge was scratch-built and patterned after bridges commonly found in the Great Lakes area. Trolleys run through cityscapes and past a carnival. The O-scale modeled on this layout is becoming increasingly rare, and many pieces have earned the status of collector's items.
It represents something that's rather unique in style and is not as largely found. There's much more of the hobby is associated with the HO side. So we feel privileged that we're able to give the two different dimensions.
Across the aisle, the San Diego Model Railroad Club's HO scale models San Diego's own railroad, the San Diego and Arizona Eastern. The layout captures a trackside view of the city of San Diego as it appeared in 1949. Classic scenes are modeled in exquisite detail. Trains pass the site of the original Lindbergh Field Airport. Ryan Aircraft, the builders of Charles Lindbergh's The Spirit of St. Louis, is modeled here. The Santa Fe Depot, a collaborative effort by the club's members, is an impressive example of scratch-built modeling. The San Diego Freight Yards, with an icing station for refrigerated cars, is located south of the city proper. The Mexican portion of the SD&AE line, called the Tijuana and Tecate Railroad, showcases tunnels and bridges, while the Goat Canyon Trestle in the Carrizo Gorge spans more than 20 feet. With some of its mountain peaks reaching over 10 feet high. As we approach the desert, dual-gauge tracks model HO and HON3 side by side. Narrow-gauge track is used in mountainous areas and for industrial applications. Its smaller size allows railroads access to more challenging terrain, and it's less expensive to operate. At Dos Cabezas, in the Anza Borrego Desert, steam locomotives take on water. El Centro, which is at the center of an immense agricultural region in the Imperial Valley, is where the San Diego and Arizona Eastern Railroad connects to points east. Trolleys are another important representation for this club. They once served popular beach towns like Ocean Beach, Mission Beach, and Pacific Beach to La Jolla.
The year 1949 in our modeling, that's the year that General Motors brought in 38 buses and they paraded them down Broadway, and the trolley system disappeared after that. So we're protecting where it was back in the 40s and how it's going to evolve, we hope, again in the decade to come.
The club attracts master modelers as well as collectors and operators from all over the region.
We have a lot of individuals who have some very unique skills and they have some very unique interests. Either it's mechanical in regard to the mechanics of the train, or it's the electronics and making sure that the voltage and everything is available and current, or the way lighting enhances the depth of perception of the layout. Different individuals have, different interests, and bringing that together for the setting of a layout is what I think I've enjoyed the most. And I think what we feel we're adding value to the public who comes in and sees our layout.
I don't know that we had really envisioned the museum. It sort of fell upon us. We had a rough plan for building Tehachapi in the city of La Mesa, and basically we just adapted that to the museum here. The space is about 65 feet by 120 feet. It's an L shape, so that isn't all filled. The lower level took care of everything from the San Joaquin Valley up through Caliente-Bealville to a siding at Cliff. What is on the upper level is everything from there on, basically, which is a couple of other sidings, the loop itself, which is, of course, the most famous part of Tehachapi. And then we're still in the process of building the railroad between Wailong, the loop, and Mojave. I'm hoping that maybe in about 3 years we'll have all that finished and that'll be cut in, and we can say at least the main line is done.
The La Mesa Model Railroad Club and its devotion to detail is legendary. Modeled in HO scale, this layout recreates the Southern Pacific Santa Fe line through the Tehachapi Pass, 100 miles north of Los Angeles. The Tehachapi line, with its frequent train traffic and spectacular scenery, is ideal for modeling. Occupying over 8,000 square feet, it's the largest layout in the museum, but its sheer size adds new complexity to operations.
This is equipment that was never designed to run the kind of miles that we put on it. Because of our commitment to the public, we've had to develop the capability to do that. We have to do things here that probably doesn't make sense to a lot of modelers, but then we put this equipment through the kind of mechanical torture test that it wouldn't get anywhere else.
212 has not arrived.
Okay, Woodford, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, this is going to be train order number 125.
Model railroaders come from around the world to the La Mesa Model Railroad Club layout to participate in twice-yearly operating sessions.
Santa Fe West departed here at 4:52. I hope he had orders against 4.
The op session recreates the experience of working on a real railroad.
We got interested in running our model railroad in Nebo Hall by timetable and train order using a railroad rule book and a timetable patterned after a real timetable. And that involves really making the thing come alive the way a railroad really operates, where there are yard crews switching the yard, there's a pool of engineers being called for trains as they're ready to go out of the yard. There are train order operators sitting around at various stations on the railroad copying orders that come from a dispatcher.
Coming east, that's probably second 806, or it might be number 4.
We're having an op session where we recreate operations on Tehachapi in 1952. Specifically, today is November 25th, 1952. And so we have perhaps 30 people here right now operating the layout.
Well, this has been a quite unique experience in the hobby of model railroading. There's nothing that I know of it around the world as far as the modeling of a specific era and a specific set of geographies.
You know, we aren't the largest model railroad in the country by any means. We aren't even the largest public exhibit model railroad. But we are probably the largest model railroad that is patterned specifically after a real railroad and tries to operate and conform to their practices as closely as possible. I think it's that combination that probably attracts people from around the globe.
I would say the attraction modeling an N-gauge would be the small size, the ability to fit a lot of essence in the small area.
N scale is very much like HO in that it is a modeler scale. By necessity, you have a little less detail in the models of N scale, but you can model more operations, you can model larger scenes in the same space. So it's just a slightly different concept, but it's still very much a modeler scale. The layout that we have down here in the museum is called the Pacific Desert Lines, and it represents a fictitious railroad that runs from San Diego to Yuma.
Second in popularity only to HO scale, N-scale modeling became popular in the 1970s. At half the size of HO, it allowed for elaborate layouts in the smallest of spaces.
It is one of the largest N-scale layouts anywhere. It's approximately 90 by 30 feet. We have 10 miles plus of scale track. We have hundreds of turnouts, hundreds of spurs, hundreds of industries. It is a very complex layout. It'll take several hours to completely run a train from one end of the layout to the other.
100 years ago, surveyors imagined San Diego as a great rail terminal on the edge of the Pacific, with an enormous freight yard as its centerpiece. While the yard was never built, this plan was used as a starting point for the San Diego Society of N-Scale layout.
Some of the things that we're very proud of in the Pacific Desert Lines is the reality to scale. We have a model of the San Diego Santa Fe Depot as it was in 1947. We have the power plant across from the depot. We have the Goat Canyon Trestle in Carrizo Gorge. Another feature of the layout is the coaster. We have San Diego and Oceanside on the layout, so we run a coaster between them.
One of my specialties is lighting and sound, and it just is really unheard of in N-scale. One of the things that I designed for this layout in particular was a working crossing warning system with functioning lights, gates, and bells, and my intention was to make it work just like the prototype.
Members operate their own trains over the layout, so visitors may see any type of railroad operating here, including the Pacific Desert Line, the museum's own road name.
We try to be as detailed as possible within reason. I mean, there are just some things that we can't do just due to the size, but for the most part, I've known modelers that you can actually look under a, with a monocle and see details that you can't see with the naked eye. It is difficult, and that's what I like about it. Modeling on N-scale is difficult, and I like the challenge of creating new ways of doing things that have never been done before.
In the far corner of the museum, in a room that was once Balboa Park's lawnmower repair shop, lies the Toy Train Gallery. Operated by the San Diego 3 Railers, this 40 by 40 foot room features a staggering number of animated figures, lighted buildings, and boisterous trains.
Now arriving from Los Angeles on track 2, train number 578, the Pacific Surfliner.
Our particular layout is not so much part of what the other clubs are doing in the museum. They model and we play with toy trains.
This layout honors the hobby as toys designed for play. Creative license is celebrated. Engines and rolling stock mirror real railroads and popular culture, making this layout a fan favorite, especially of children.
We are a room full of movement, sound, and color. And that, I think, is a real draw because there's so many things to be seen here.
The San Diego 3 Railers assembled a layout in their permanent museum home in 1993, only to disassemble it a few years later so the floor could be lowered 18 inches to accommodate the museum's new library on the second floor.
You see the layout, which we started in 2002, took 2 years to complete, but it's like a house. We're always modeling or remodeling. We are making changes to make sure that people see something different every time they walk through the door.
4 separate tracks covering over 1,100 feet operate simultaneously. Trestle bridges on the north wall provide a focal point. Oil, wood, and coal industries are featured to help visitors, especially children, understand that railroads were vitally important to the building of America. Then there's the whimsical. Many visitors relate with nostalgia to the toy trains of their youth. Toy trains were once a part of Christmas marketing in many department stores. Those good old days have been updated with state-of-the-art electronics and digital technology.
We can walk around with a remote, hand them to people as they stand here watching the trains and say, here, blow the whistle, ring the bell, speed it up, stop it, that kind of thing. And they are just absolutely amazed at the amount of technology that we employ in this particular room.
The three railers also oversee a museum-owned interactive 027 layout that gives kids an opportunity to throttle and race toy trains on two different lines.
What we are trying to do is get the children of today's generation interested in trains, what they can provide in terms of fun, and then hopefully, as they get older, bring them back into the hobby so we can continue to do what we do.
Then, it's a step up to the youth groups at the San Diego Model Railroad Club and the La Mesa Model Railroad Club. There, teenagers and young adults are coached in more advanced skills like electronics, modeling, rail history, and of course, plenty of operating.
It's important to us because that's where we started. And we know too that unless we have some younger members in the club, it's not going to be able to continue as we get old.
The museum takes its mission to educate seriously. Currently, the San Diego Model Railroad Museum is the only accredited railroad-themed museum in the United States. And a research library dedicated to the history of model railroading is open to the public. Through 30 years, the San Diego Model Railroad Museum has grown from 4 small railroad clubs to a full-fledged public museum serving more than 130,000 visitors a year.
In its 30th year, we're appreciative to the City of San Diego and Balboa Park to be part of this museum. We think we add value to the type of museum that this represents.
It's been a lot of fun. It's certainly been a lot of work, but I'm not complaining.
It was very fulfilling in many ways, and it's fun. Basically, it's just fun.